This is a meeting for Boyd Acres Neighborhood Association, and it's supposed to be with Oregon Department of Transportation about Highway 97 North, which is within our neighborhood. So we're always curious about what's going on and what do we see and what do we think's happening. So thank you, ODOT, for showing up tonight. And I guess we'll just get on with it. Do we know if anyone else is coming? Ashley, Diane?
I don't know for sure. I did post it in the Facebook group and I just tagged everyone again as a reminder. A couple people asked about the recording, so I know there's at least a few that can't make it but want to watch later. So other than that, I'm not sure. I mean, I would think probably Joette and Brittany, but I haven't heard from them.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting Brittany or maybe Joette, or I know Adam Lease can't make it tonight.
Right. Oh, there's Brittany.
David Johnson might show up. Well, anyway, we can get started. We don't want to hold the ODOT people for extra long time. So Omar's going to start things off then. I've given him control of the screen. And again, this is Boyd Acres Neighborhood Association meeting, and we'll be recording it, and I will be posting it on our webpage, on our YouTube page, I should say. Okay, Omar, take it away.
Great, thank you. Just before I get too far into it, I want to make sure everyone can hear me clearly and see my presentation right now. If I get some thumbs up, head nods. Okay, we're good. So thanks for having me. ODOT has had the pleasure to speak to Boyd Acres Neighborhood Association about this project a handful of times now over the last few years. So as such, I'll try to keep discussion of the project scope and history limited and point you to the website for that information. But today I want to focus more on what's going on right now and what you're going to be seeing in the future. My email and direct cell phone are on this title slide. My name is Omar Ahmed. I am the Bend North Corridor Area Manager for ODOT. I'm also our Region 4 Tech Center Manager. And Cody is also here. Cody, if you want to introduce yourself real quick. I'm not sure I'm getting audio from you, Cody.
Did she hear? Okay. Why don't you just bring it to me? Why don't you bring it to me?
I'll let you work on that. Cody is our or I can hear you now. There's a lot of static, so
I think somebody needs to mute themselves.
Yeah. So I muted you, Cody. We're having audio issues, but anyways, Cody's our one of our public affairs liaisons. So he's here to help out as needed. I'll try to keep an eye out for any chat questions or anything like that, but please just interrupt me. I don't mind if you have any questions. If there's relevant slides, something you want to talk about, go for it. We'll have time at the end too, if that works. Okay, so I'll hop right into it. This is kind of a 20,000 foot overview of what's going to be happening on this project. You're going to see a couple plan sheets and roll plots and stuff like that, and you'll notice that they're going to be oriented different to make them fit on the screen. So I'll try to remember to tell you what you're looking at and how you're oriented. So for this picture here, north is up, and to just give you an overview of the work that's occurring on this project, you'll see Cooley Road going east-west on the top, Rebel just below that, and then the V that US 20 and US 97 make. So starting on the US 20 corridor, we're building two roundabouts, one at the intersection of Cooley Road, one at the intersection of Rebel Road. You're also going to see multi-use paths on both sides, more on that later. For existing 97, so that's where it's at today, we're going to be doing preservation work, upgrading the ADA ramps and curb ramps in that area, and adding additional bike ped facilities. And then on the east side, the kind of darker blue line is the US 97 realignment. So that's going to be kind of like a through route of 97, almost an extension of the parkway, if you will, off to the east, and that will get a lot of that through traffic and congestion out of the lights at Cooley and Roble. Oh, one more thing. We are building a quiet crossing at the BNSF Railroad at Cooley Road as well. This is to focus in on the bike ped improvements on the project. So just kind of highlighting that. Again, this is all available on our website, higher resolution, if you want to go look at it there. So again, starting on the 20 side, north is up. We're going to have 12-foot wide multi-use paths on either side, running north and south there. You're going to see the rapid flashing beacons for pedestrian safety for crossing at 20 and Cooley and 20 and Roble, as well as closer down to Jameson, over by the fire station. You're going to see ADA improvements along this route. And then on existing 97, you'll see a 10-foot path and a 12-foot path, kind of depending on the section and area. You'll see that jog over at Roble as well, making sure that there's a safe, functional crossing there for pedestrians. That path will continue up north all the way through to the end of our project limit. It'll jog over again to the east at Cooley and then head north from there before getting to the railroad tracks. Along with the quiet crossing that we're building at the railroad tracks, we will have an improved pedestrian crossing at the rail as well. So now we're going to get to the meat of the work. This is a colored roll plot of just the different phases and stages of construction that are going to be occurring for our project. In this image, north is to the right. And I really like this, so we're going to be coming back to this screen quite a few times throughout the rest of this presentation. Everything color-coded is reflected in the legend in the top left. That legend is essentially like a Gantt chart calendar that's going to show you when we intend for the work to be done. Now, one of the unique properties of our project is that our contractor has been designing and building the work. So as a result, we're able to get it done sooner. So if you've been out on US 20 recently, you've seen them doing quite a bit of work out there while they were concurrently designing and finishing up design for US 97. So it's one of the benefits for this type of work. So you're going to see me focus quite a bit more on the US 20 phases because that's done, concrete, set in stone. The US 97 work, it's more of an estimate. So we'll kind of get to that near the end. So let's start at US 20 and Cooley. And I think I have a little laser pointer function that I'm going to try to use here. So we'll start with where we're at today, which is working down over here in phase 2. So this is a plan sheet, one of our actual construction plan sheets for the Cooley and 20 work. This is stage 2, which you can see is going to be running from April, which is last month, through Memorial Day. And so if you've been out there right now, you'll notice, sorry, north is to the left now. So if you've been out there, you'll notice traffic's already pushed to the left half or the east half, or sorry, west half of the new roundabout alignment. Traffic's going to stay there while the contractor works on the east side. Due to that, we do have a closure on the east side. It's noted right there. So you see the blue hash kind of describes our detour route as a result of that. Again, we expect this to go on right up until Memorial Day, possibly the week after. So going back, we're going to have our third stage of the Cooley and 20 intersection, which is going to be the center of the roundabout. So here again, north is to the left. You'll see a single lane of traffic going US 20 west/north and a single lane of traffic going US 20 south/east. So we're maintaining a single lane either direction configuration while the contractor will work in the center of the roundabout and complete that part of the circle. So going back, once they finish up the 20 and Cooley roundabout, they're going to hop over to the 20 and Roble roundabout. So we'll talk about those phases. So for stage 1 of Roble, you're going to see that start pretty much as soon as Cooley is cleared out. So Memorial Day, and you can expect it to run through mid-July. In this configuration, both single lanes of westbound and eastbound US 20 traffic are going to be pushed to the east side, so the mall side of 20. That will free up space for the contractor to work on the whole west end of the roundabout, which right now is functionally a dead end. It'll continue to stay that way. No major closures for this stage 1. So as they're wrapping up stage 1, they're going to flip over. And stage 2 will run from mid-July through around mid-September is what we're tracking. Again, north is to the left, and you'll see that traffic is now switched over to the west side, so the far side from the mall on 20. Again, single lane in each direction. So this does require a closure of Roble at the 20 currently light. And this is an image of what that looks like. You'll have to take Cooley to Hunnell and then back. And again, this section of Hunnell is relatively clear. So that kind of will wrap up the bulk of like impacted US 20 construction. Once both roundabouts are done, it'll free up room for the contractor to work in this center section here. They would have pushed traffic to either side, and they're going to have to build a median there. So that's what they'll be working on, and that'll continue on down. We're building a new entrance for the fire station to have a more direct access onto 20. Right now, they have to kind of jog over and then have kind of a weird left turn. So we want to help them out there. Obviously, there's other emergency response services out there that we want to make sure have appropriate access as well. So are there any questions on kind of the scope of the 20 work or what's happening when? Okay, sounds good. I can't see the chat, so if someone wrote something, just yell at me. Next, we'll talk about 97 work, which is, like I said earlier, wrapping up final design, and we'll be starting in earnest here soon. If anyone's been over to, Chipotle or Chick-fil-A or anything like that, you would have seen all of the staging and work that's been happening out there already. If you can try to imagine, that's where the new highway alignment is going to be. Along with that, there's going to be new, like a rebuilding and realignment of Nels Anderson Road. Right now, that kind of used to go to the old Instant Landscaping location. We've actually moved them further up the street, and we're going to dead end that road. So we're going to realign Nels Anderson so the existing businesses out there can still maintain access. And then we'll have some pretty complex work going on the south end. So the existing 97 South tie-in, that's obviously going to impact traffic, but it's also going to impact the Empire on-ramp coming from Empire to 97 North. So we do expect there to be a closure and detour required as part of that work. I can't really speak to the time frame just yet, since they're wrapping up their final design and sequencing and all that sort of thing. But as soon as I do know, I'd like to come back and make sure we can present on that. Moving over to, I guess, existing 3rd Street, we are going to be doing bridge rehab, and to kind of describe where this bridge is, it's really just going to be a deck overlay, so just kind of fixing the top surface of that deck. So that bridge is, if you go north on 3rd Street or 20 through the Empire Light, it would kind of veer you over to the right and then take you off to US 20. And that bridge is in pretty rough shape. So they will be doing a full closure as well for that rehab work, although we don't expect it to take more than a weekend. The contractor just has to, again, design it out, determine which weekend, and then hammer it out as fast as we can so we don't impact traffic that much. Moving on north, we have a lot of work going on at Cooley and 97 and Cooley and New 97. So New 97 is going to go over Cooley on a bridge. So that bridge is going to need to get built, and part of building a bridge over a road is closing the road underneath it so you can safely be on top of it. So we do expect there to be a closure for that. Typically, we can limit the duration. It'll more than likely only be overnights, or if we can accelerate it, a couple days max. Same with the quiet crossing. So what's interesting about railroad quiet crossings is that the railroad's going to actually build quite a bit of that. And they're going to require a full closure of that intersection as well, for them to be able to build that. Typically, quiet crossing work doesn't take too long. Railroad's really efficient about doing it. So again, I would expect something like a weekend closure or a couple nights there. And then here on the north side, we will have tie-in work. This area in particular is pretty narrow, kind of where the railroad pinches into the existing businesses over, I'm trying to think, maybe close to Standard TV and Appliance, heading up to Space Age and the Volvo dealer. So we will have traffic impacts there. So for all of those impacts I just talked about, they're all going to be in 2024, which feels like a long time away, but it'll be here before we know it. So again, I intend on trying to come back to the Boyd Acres Neighborhood Association sometime in the fall and talk about those closures and sequencing specifically. Any questions on what's going on 97?
I had a question. I don't know if you maybe haven't gotten to it. So the is there plans in place yet for the southbound on-ramp from Empire onto 97? I know that that's like a very tricky spot at the moment. So I was just wondering what the plan was for that.
So there's nothing designed. As a matter of fact, it's not a funded project, but it is a project. That particular work was in the City of Bend's general obligation bond, the GO bond that was passed a few years ago. Our preliminary kind of planning estimates for that is relatively expensive. It would be a intersection improvement at Empire and 20, that light right now, and then the actual interchange improvement, what you're talking about, that left turn kind of onto southbound. It's pretty tough for people who are driving, but it's also really kind of dangerous for folks that are walking or riding their bikes too. So it's pretty difficult to untangle. It's on the radar, but it's just not a funded project yet.
So I had a question. What's a quiet crossing? Does that mean they don't blow their train horns, or is it just smoother than normal?
A little bit of both. So the intent of a quiet crossing is that it's a safer design, both for the non-rail users and the rail users. So the ultimately blowing the horn is the train engineer's decision, but at a quiet crossing, they are not required to blow the train horn. Okay. So the idea is, in a perfect world, they wouldn't blow it through there. But it's the engineer's prerogative whether or not they want to at any given point.
So I have another question. Right now, at the south end of Nels Anderson, there are big trucks that come out of Hooker Creek and turn onto Empire, both right turn and left turn. Mm-hmm. Is that going to continue to be the case? It sure creates a traffic jam. And so.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you. I drive through there every day and I see it. But again, that's part of that the Empire interchange scope that Ashley asked about. And it would be resolved as part of that project. It's just, again, not a funded project yet.
Okay.
Any other questions? So kind of in, I don't really have all that much left, but since I was talking to you all, I wanted to make sure that you were updated on the adjacent project on 20, which is US 20 Tumalo to Cooley Road. I included the key numbers for that at the top of the screen. This is not my project, but oftentimes they're viewed as a single project because it is almost a single work zone. So I just wanted to touch real quick on what's going on there. So there's 2 roundabouts that are getting built as well as part of this project on US 20. One's at Old Bend Redmond Highway, and the other is in Tumalo at Cook and OB Riley. So the Old Ben Redmond roundabout they've been hammering away at that. If you've driven through there, they're already at their phase 3. And just a brief description of what that means is that US 20's 1 lane each direction, just like our project. And Old Ben Redmond West will be closed, East will be open, and that will run to about Independence Day. So that's the current configuration right now. For phase 4, the roundabout should be fully functioning. But the west leg of Old Ben Redmond is going to continue to be closed through the end of August for them to get some of that work done there. Any questions on Old Ben Redmond before I hop over to Tumalo? Okay, so here's the Tumalo work. So if you've driven through here, you've seen a lot of the work done for that pink box there, the bike ped undercrossing. That's what the contractor hammered out first. And so you're going to expect to see impacts at that intersection here very soon. Phase 2 is US 20 1 lane each direction right until Independence Day. June 1st, OB Riley will be closed in its entirety for about a month. And your detour for that will be Bailey Road to Tumalo Reservoir Road. For phase 3, they're going to flip sides. Again, 20 is going to stay 1 lane open in each direction, and Cook Avenue is going to be closed. The detour there will be 5th through a new temporary signal. And that will run from July 4th through the end of August. Phase 4, you'll have a fully functioning roundabout, and it'll just be kind of completing the stuff in the middle, the medians, the actual circle, and that should run from August through the end of October. So what that means is that the entirety of the 20 corridor should be done with construction by the fall, ideally no later than Thanksgiving. Right now, that's what we're tracking for. I know a lot of folks have either enjoyed or hated the reduced speed limit, but I can say it's been immensely safer for those traveling through it. So the pain of all this construction on 20 should be over by the end of the year. So that's actually all I have for our slides. So I wanted to make sure I had time to kind of answer any questions that might come up or questions anyone has on the project itself. Did I do that good of a job explaining it?
Yeah, I guess you did. Excellent
You
job.
did a pretty good job.
Okay.
Yeah, your slides were very thorough. I mean, I love that there's a timeline for each phase and people can, when to expect things to be closed. I can't think of any other questions that I have right now.
Okay, well, I'll hop back over here just so everyone, again, has it. Again, my name is Omar Ahmed. I'm the area manager for this project and my contact information is below. I'm highly responsive, both on email and phone, because I hate having notifications that are unanswered. So use that to your favor. If you have questions, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk.
I have
Awesome.
one last question here.
Yeah, of course.
Are things going well? I mean, are they staying on time, or do you have anything in looking out into the future that says you're likely to hit delays?
Yeah, so the 20 corridor is actually going extremely well. As a matter of fact, every schedule, so we get a schedule from the contractor every month. Every schedule has actually shown them completing just a little bit earlier. So they're being super efficient and everything's going really well on 20. 97 is to be seen. I do expect that to be more complex. I'm not expecting any major delays, although it's hard to know, especially over the last few years with COVID, what's happened to our supply chains. If contractors trying to order some equipment or one of the utilities that are being moved is trying to order equipment, sometimes that's just not available in a timely fashion. We've been doing everything we can to mitigate that, but we're not immune from it. So it may happen, but right now we're not foreseeing anything. The one thing I will say is that there's added complexity anytime we have to deal with or like come up with an agreement with the railroad.
Yeah.
And so there is a risk that the quiet crossing might take a little longer while we work out paperwork, really. The design is going to be done well before that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just, in terms of driving through the neighborhood, I use that Cooley Road. area quite a bit, and I have to adjust to taking Empire and or other routes to get where I want to go. And so I imagine there's other people that are bumping into their old habits and going, oh, I'm in the wrong place right now. I was
Yeah.
out on 20 the other day and it looked quite different from what it had in the past. So I could tell you've been busy out there.
Yeah, I can't say enough about our contractor Kiewit. They're a pretty big contractor, and it's not something that we're used to seeing here in Central Oregon. So they've been able to really just get at this work and get it done quickly.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, just to, I'm sure it was on the slide, I could look again, but, the 97, we expect that to be open, both the 3rd Street part and 97 by the end of 2024, or no?
Yeah, that's correct. So our contract completion date is, I want to say Christmas Eve of 2024.
Okay.
And so we're going to strive to hit or beat that date. Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I'm sure we'll
Yep.
all be able to use this information. And the rest of the BANA bunch, if you want to stay, and we can do some updates on BANA business for 5 minutes or so after ODOT leaves. So
Okay, well, thanks again for having me. Again, I'd like to be back hopefully sometime in the fall, so maybe we can coordinate that and get you some better updates and timeframes for US 97.
okay,
Awesome. Thank you.
that would be great.
Okay, thanks, y'all.
So I was out, we drove out to Riley Ranch Nature Reserve yesterday and took a walk. And I was amazed at how different that looked and how many new houses were going up out there. And although it seems kind of like it's not part of our neighborhood on the map, it really is. So I was thinking it was time for Ashley to give us an update on things for land use.
Okay. I mean, to be honest, there really hasn't been much new stuff that we haven't really gotten much mail for new permitting, just more buildings over on Brinson. That's been one, the light industrial area. And then, yeah, just mostly the other stuff that was already permitted and already kind of in progress or waiting to be starting. Now that it's spring, it's definitely driving around. I can tell a lot of things are starting that were already permitted. It looks like the veterinary building is coming along for the veterinary hospital. There's actually a building there now. So I think probably by the end of this year, they should be done with that. And then I am still trying to get an update on the Costco kind of situation, since they did have their funding fall through for their housing portion of the Costco project. So that kind of remains to be seen if they're still going to try to get different funding, if they're going to try to do something else. I'm not sure. So we're waiting to hear about that. And they have not started construction or anything on that yet. They just have subdivided. So I would think construction would be starting on that soon.
Along Cooley, in the midst of all this other 97 and Cooley mess that ODOT's creating.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough couple years for traffic, I think. But hopefully all these improvements are going to then eventually make it a lot better for traffic.
Right. And I guess they cleared out all of the temporary campers on Hunnell Road in order to make all of this work. I haven't been out that way to see what's going on.
Yeah,
I keep waiting for somebody to decide that they're going to take advantage of that big vacant lot behind what used to be Penny's, and what's in there now, I can't remember. Ashley Home Store or something maybe is in that building. That seems like a perfect place to have a new development, but it's been sitting there since before I moved here to Bend this time around. So okay, Jill Martinson says Hunnell Road is not cleared. Okay, that's good to know. I guess that's coordination between ODOT and the city. So we've noticed a couple of temporary encampments along the S curves on Boyd Acres Road that I think are similar to what Hunnell Road used to be. So anyway, if you're driving on Boyd Acres and you're going down the S curves, just be careful because there's one on each side right in there. And so anyway,
Should we give a little update on the annual meeting plans?
yes, we can have an update on that. I'm still trying to get in touch with the city. They finally called me at 4:45 and I fumbled the phone and the phone stopped ringing and I was unable to call them back. I'm trying to get, my preferred date is June 22nd, but I gave them a number of dates on either side of that June 22nd date to reserve the Pine Nursery Park shelter. From past meetings that we've had, that works much better than the Rock Ridge shelter that we used last year. We're hoping to get porta subs to cater. We are looking into having some music. And do we have a speaker yet for the annual meeting?
We don't officially, but one of the ideas was to have the police chief come to do a Q&A, and people seemed interested in that idea. So I think that once we have a date, we're probably going to try to reach out to him and see if he is available.
I think Joette had somebody also suggested as a speaker, and Ben Bikes has agreed or is interested in coming and talking to us again about bike-friendly routes. So that
Right.
I think that will be the core of the presentations. We don't want to bore people too much. We'll have
Yeah.
an opportunity for folks to sign up to be on the board, take over any of our jobs. Just about, I think Ashley probably wants to continue as land use.
Yeah, I'll stay, but we could use a couple more people for sure.
Yeah, Joette's kind of tired after doing 10 years with BANA. So if she wouldn't mind if she had somebody take over some of her jobs, and my job's open if somebody wants to do that. We can also invent some other jobs. We have a couple of sort of at-large board positions, and we always welcome input from anybody who's within the neighborhood and or ideas for directions to take in the future. We've had a kind of quiet year after, COVID, and we got back to doing some meetings. We've still mostly been meeting over Zoom, which is fine, but if we do want to have the annual meetings face to face, and we're always looking for a place to call home where we could meet face to face. We used to be at the Elks Club. I imagine we can go back there, but if there's a better place, a more friendly place to meet, then we'd be interested in that. We're interested in also maybe moving it about a bit to see different people or make it easy for different people to join us. I don't have any news from the city in particular. They're looking for people to be on a tree committee. I think the tree committee, trying to preserve trees on lots. It's a very hot topic in the Ponderosa Pine Belt. We have much less of the Ponderosa Pine Belt within Boyd Acres. More of our trees are junipers. Many of the junipers are quite old, but you miss them less. They don't provide that same stature that the large old Ponderosa pines do. But if you're interested in that, you can get in touch with me, boydacres@gmail.com, and I can send that on to you.
And if anyone has any ideas for future meetings, even if it's not for the annual meeting, speakers, we're always, open to having new and different speakers come to our meetings like this to be able to keep people informed. So anybody watching or here, we'd love to hear your ideas.
And then after the annual meeting, we'll probably take off the next couple of months, July and August. We usually don't schedule meetings during those months because so many people are either way busy with enjoying our natural environment around Bend or traveling. So has been hard to get people together during July and August. We'll probably schedule a September meeting if we can find a speaker or a reason to meet. And if you're registered on our email list, we try to send out email updates. I bet we do it almost monthly, but we do it as the information comes in that needs to be circulated. So I was really glad to see folks here tonight, and I think that's about all I have to say. Anybody else have anything to add? Any of our other members? Okay, well, I have that it's just a little bit after 6, but that's fine. We don't need to take up any more people's time. Says there's 2 things in the chat box. I think that was Jill. Tunnel Road is not cleared and city politics are controlling the situation there, okay? Well, with that, I guess I'll just say goodbye and have a nice evening, and I'll hope to see you in June at the annual meeting.
All right, see ya.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good night.